So get up.
Top of the morning to ya.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 33 minutes after the hour, you've got the Sunrise Show on News Radio 880 KCMX. Craig Fronikin is your host, and want to welcome onto the program Dr. Mark Christian. He's the founder of the Global Faith Institute, globalfaithinstitute.org. He's a OBGYN doctor by trade, but born and raised in Egypt, and he realized this is not for me, raised in the Muslim Brotherhood, and is a born-again Christian, and has come to America. And Dr. Mark Christian, it's great to have you on the program, and because you are laser focused on you really get it, because you watched as a youngster the hate mantra against the United States, and now you're here. Did you ever think that you'd be here after what you watched and saw as a young child?
Not in a million years.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's an honor to be on your show.
Well, thanks so much.
No, every now and then I look at my life, when I'm preaching at a church or sharing some information at one of the Capitol Hills or politicians, and then I all of a sudden have a reality check, and I look and say, this is awesome, how God did this miracle in my life. I'm supposed to be right there, preaching at mosques and part of, the Islamist movement. And right here, right now, I am following Jesus Christ, and He is my Lord and Savior, and I am talking about completely the things that is opposite of what I grew up thinking that my life is going to look like.
Well, exactly right. And then you fast forward to all of this Sharia, I mean, it's, jihadist, extremists, and everything else, and ISIS has had their way with 30 more Ethiopian Christians. Back up a little bit, Mark, and tell us, why are they doing this, and why do they attack Ethiopian Christians?
Because they are Christians. We are living over here in a complete ignorance and denial and confusion about what Islam is. And we are trying to talk about Muslims as the problem, but we are missing the point. The Islamic ideology is the problem. And when we continue targeting Muslims themselves, we are losing the fight, losing the battle, and losing the argument to start with. What we are dealing with over here with the confusion, it is not that such a confusion at all in any Muslim country. If you tune in to listen and to watch any kind of the programs that is running right now in any Muslim country, is it Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, any country, they realize 100% that the problems coming from the Islamic ideology and the Islamic teachings that has been going on for the last 1,300 years. The ISIS fighters, when they say convert or die, this is the same calling that Muhammad, the founder of Islam, has been doing early on in, when the beginning of the Islamic, history and Islamic teachings. This is what he has been doing, and those guys are not doing anything other than following the example of Muhammad. This is a fact that every Muslim knows by heart. Over here in America, because of ignorance, because of the influence of the Islamists trying to build confusion over confusion, we don't know what's going on. There is some politicians got it, but lots of them don't. Last week I was in Texas and I was in Oklahoma, addressing those issues on college campuses and also to politicians. And the ignorance about the subject matter is unbelievable. Why? Because the lack of resources, lack of information, lack of honest discussion and education to our politicians and to our college campuses. It's just unbelievable over here.
What's interesting, Mark, is that we have experts in this country, experts that are advising both military and politicians, both senators and representatives in the House, and then the president's cabinet. We have that. We have that layer of expertise.
No, we don't, Greg. I'm so sorry to break it to you, but when you see those advisors, you look at the iconic picture of President Bush standing at the Washington Mosque right after 9/11, and you see those advisors, and they are nothing other than the Islamists themselves advising the president. You have right behind him, Dr. Majid, you have Nihad Awad, you have all those people who are Islamists from day one in their life. They were brought up the same way I brought up, and they continue being Islamist, and they are running the organizations that are Islamist in this country. They do not talk for Muslims or Muslims who are suffering and struggling under Islam. They are not the liberal Muslims that we need to align ourselves with. They are not the Muslims that they can be advising the American politicians on the reality of what's going on and how to protect Muslims and protect the West from the Islamic ideology. No, we have advisors from the Muslim Brotherhood advising us how to fight Islamists. So as if we are giving, what do you call this, the keys to the
hen house,
house, whatever that saying that I don't know exactly the saying. You are giving them every access to the exactly things that they need so they can further their own agenda and not defend the West.
Well, what I meant, and I think you're absolutely right, Mark, what I meant to say is that we have historians in America, but it doesn't seem like the politicians or the people in power are asking the right questions.
I agree with you, and I also agree with you with something. There is lots of people who understand things. There is lots of iconic pictures, Robert Spencer, and others in this country who understand the issue very well. But the problem is that we have those Islamists that are working in the government and within the government as well. And as soon as somebody speaks truth and say something real and factual, they label him as an Islamophobe, as a bigot, as many derogatory words, and discredit them immediately. So yes, we do have experts, but they do not have voice.
Very good point, Mark. And we've got a break coming up, but it's so interesting to me. I mean, even the United Arab Emirates cabinet and their list of terrorist organizations, they list the Council on American Islamic Relations and the Muslim American Society and the Muslim Association of Britain and all those type of things as being on their terrorist group list. Why wouldn't you think America would pay attention to what they've decided? So, listen, let's come back. Well, yeah, let's come back and talk about the Global Faith Institute and what's going on with that. And I love the message that you're carrying across the heartland with people because they are listening with eyes wide open. So let's do more of that. We've got to get to a break. ABC Sports about 4 minutes away, and then we'll return with Dr. Mark Christian from the Global Faith Institute. Its website, globalfaithinstitute.org. Do yourself a favor and check it out. We'll be back after this.
Shout, I'm talking to you, so come on. Shout.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 48 minutes after the hour, continuing with Dr. Mark Christian from the Global Faith Institute. Globalfaithinstitute.org is the website. And Dr. Christian, we were talking just over the break. There's so much going on with information that Americans should be paying attention to. But as you take your message with the Global Faith Institute and speak, and people are very inviting to the message. They want to hear what you've got to say. You get a lot of wide-eyed, open-mouth reactions with all of this?
You know what? I think the biggest problem that we have in America right now is the ignorance of the subject matters. And the ignorance is coming because of the lack of information and also because of the confusion that stops people even from seeking any more information about the subject matters and the political direction of the United States of America. And yes, when we go and we teach and we learn and we educate the public about things, I am blessed, and I praise the Lord how God is using us as the GFI Global Faith Institute in ways that I've never even imagined to myself. And the feedback that we get, we spread a sheet of paper to ask, did you benefit from this information and stuff like that. And the feedback is unbelievable. People are say, I've never seen things like this. I've never heard things like this. Now I understand things better. We do those 5 serious classes, and we do the 10 serious classes, and we do them in different churches and so forth, across the country. But, we need to multiply that. So we are trying to do some production of those DVDs, put them in a DVD or something so churches can run them, on their own in different classes and so forth, and we can just come in one session, try to answer people's questions. So we are trying to do that because, the very first step in taking America back on the right direction and to confront the Islamic threat that is not only threatening the West, but threatening everywhere in every corner of the world right now, we have to educate ourselves about the history of Islam and to understand the teachings of Islam, to understand what Islam is all about and so forth, and to stop blaming Muslims. Muslims are the victims, not the problem. We need to stop doing that. We need to stop saying what Muslims do. We need to focus on what Muhammad, the founder of Islam, did, what Islam really teaches, what are the fundamental teachings of Islam, and how those are affecting the world that we live in. This is what you need to focus on. Stop blaming Muslims. Blame the ideology, because Muslims, either the aggressor or the victim, both of them are falling under the atrocity of an ideology that is enslaving humanity since it started.
I wonder, Mark, that Muslims who have chosen that faith, they have to be rather scared.
Muslims?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Muslims are the very victims of Islam. Look at how many Muslims die every day and how many Muslims died from the day one of Islamic inception. Yes, they are living under fear, but people are getting it wrong. Muslims are not, even those Muslims who are very peaceful, and how those Muslims, peaceful Muslims, has existed throughout history and how they have been looked at. And those Muslims are not afraid to speak out because they are afraid to be killed. Those Muslims are afraid to speak out because of the fear of that ideology that says that if you speak out against Muhammad, against Allah, against the Quran, you will be condemned to hell for eternity, and you're going to be blasphemy against God. So they are afraid of the judgment day, not afraid of the sword of Islam.
So this is why we don't hear from peaceful Muslims who stand up and say, hey, it's not us, these are just extremists that are taking the word of Muhammad to heart and either convert or die in carrying out his message.
Exactly. Look, put yourself in Muslim shoes. They adore and respect and love Muhammad, and they have to, be slaves of Allah. This is what Islam is. And all of a sudden you're asking them to say that Muhammad did something wrong and Allah is wrong, killing of people. They're going to definitely get scared, because saying that is blasphemy. Saying that means they're going to go to hell. Saying that means that everything that they believe in is going to fall apart.
So they can't even whisper. They can't even have that thought. They get it out of their mind as quickly as possible. Meanwhile,
they do that, and also they do something. You have heard it many, many times. They always tell you, we hate terrorism. This is not Islam. This is not Muhammad. This is not Allah. This is not the Quran. It is right there in front of their eyes about what Islam teaches and the history of Islam, and they know it very well, but they deny it. They always say, this is not Islam. This is the only defense that they have. Why? Because they are feeling very comfortable attacking bin Laden, attacking ISIS, attacking any human being. They don't care, but they cannot attack or say anything criticizing, not even attacking, criticizing Islam, Muhammad, or the Quran. They cannot do that. They are afraid of the judgment day. They're going to spend hell in eternity in hell if they say anything in criticism of Muhammad or of Allah or of the Quran. And this is why they always hear from them, this is not Islam. Did you hear that before?
Oh, right. They say that. They say this is not what Islam is about. This is peaceful. This is, they and Americans, they try to take them on their word. They try to be respectful of their religion, and Americans don't know historically.
We should be feeling sorry for them, because when people have the truth in their eyes and they understand it very well that Muhammad led 97 terrorist attacks during the last 6 years of his life, it is right there. What is it really Islam is all about? When they know that very well, when they know that Muhammad was engaged in wars, and when he died he has 9 swords in their hands, and they deny the truth so they can save themselves from the fire of hell, then you should be feeling sorry for them, because this is exactly what bondage is all about. And this is why I say Islam is all about bondage of people and enslaving people into to a God that is their master, and he's not the real God of universe, because God, the real God of universe, is not known by his name, but is known by his character. And the God of Islam is always preaching that you take revenge for me if anybody offended you, offended me, and people are supposed to take revenge for him.
Exactly. Mark, it's a fascinating conversation. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I thank you so much for everything that you do. And ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mark Christian with the Global Faith Institute, globalfaithinstitute.org. And Mark, be well, be safe, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good day. Bye.
More coming up on the Sunrise Show. We got to get to the Bloomberg Market Update. More, and then after that, the Sunrise Show will be back on News Radio 880 KCMX.